All right, welcome to the Murfreesboro City Council meeting. It is January 8th at 6 o'clock. Madeline Scales Harris has our prayer.
Thank
Our
you,
pledge.
May we bow our heads, please. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you undeserving, but we just want to say thank you, Lord. Thank you for the things are seen and unseen. And Lord, we have a great city, and I ask a special prayer on our police department with the skills that they have, Lord, that they can use them to save lives and make things better for our fire department, for all the departments in our city, Lord. We just want to say thank you. And Lord, thank you for blessing us to see another year of 2026. We ask your blessings upon us as we go from day to day on these dangerous highways and different places we go, Lord. We just ask for your blessings. Thank you, Lord, for my beautiful little grandson. I just cannot thank you enough for him, Lord. And Lord, bless the teachers who are teaching our children, keep them safe, and just bless our entire city. This is my prayer that I ask in your darling son's name. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I would like to make a quick comment and want to say on behalf of the entire city and our council, it was announced today that President McPhee's wife, Liz McPhee, longtime resident of Murfreesboro, passed away today. And so we want to lift the entire McPhee family up in our prayers and thankful for what they've done for our community. And Liz was a teacher at Discovery School for many years. I think she taught at campus school as well. So she's been part of our school system and part of our community. And we're very thankful for her, and they will continue to be in our prayers. Do we have anyone wishing on public action items speaking tonight?
No, sir.
All right, we'll move to our STARS Award.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Tonight I have the privilege to recognize the STAR recipient for the month of November. As you all know, the purpose of the award is to recognize those individuals who go above and beyond the call of duty in providing outstanding customer service to both our internal and external customers. Sometimes that often means to be very responsive, supportive, and demonstrating empathy toward others in meaningful ways. To put it simply, sometimes it means just showing you care about your fellow man and taking action. Well, tonight's recipient, Mr. Mark Wood, recognized that a family needed assistance. He responded with empathy and action and made a difference. Mark is a sergeant in the police department. He's been there now almost 23 years. In 2006, he was promoted to field training officer. Later, in 2011, promoted to sergeant. He eventually was elected to be or selected to be the leader of the Homeless Outreach Support Team, better known as the HOST unit. A little about the HOST unit. They proactively engage homeless individuals in the community to build trust and report and connect them with housing options, medical and behavioral health services, and transportation services as needed. Sergeant Wood is highly respected and very loved by his peers. You can tell, looking to my right, all these officers here. He was nominated by 2 individuals, which is kind of unusual because normally we just get one nomination. Here's a summary of the things that they wrote in the nomination forms. The host unit wrote the following. On Thursday, July the 3rd, 2025, units responded to the Ramada Inn regarding a family needing assistance. The host unit had been in contact with his family who were trying to get back on their feet, and the car had a blown out tire, which was their only means of transportation back and forth to work. Sergeant Wood saw that they needed a new tire, and when our community resources were unable to fill the need, Sergeant Wood went above and beyond the call of duty and paid for the tire out of his pocket without hesitation. He had to do some wheeling and dealing with the tire vendor in order to get the tire at the price he could afford. He used every penny in his pocket, even his lunch money for that day. The result, the result was the family was helped. A family that included 2 children, at least one was a 4-month-old. When the unit, his members asked about the tire, he just said it was taken care of. He made no mention that he had paid for it. We had to ask him directly whether he bought it. You see, this isn't the first time an act like this has happened. We have seen Sergeant Wood step up to purchase food for families in need on multiple occasions. He recently purchased a hotel room for a homeless veteran who was a recipient of the Purple Heart. Sergeant Wood's actions exemplify what it means to serve with integrity, empathy, and true commitment to the community. His willingness to act without hesitation when other agencies couldn't speaks volumes about his character, leadership, and dedication to the public. Our Murfreesboro website states that we have a program where employees who succeed through attitudes reflecting service and excellence, better known as STARS, on behalf of the entire host unit, we believe Sergeant Wood has done just that, and he deserves to be recognized. The second nomination came from Officer McAdams. He said the following: I wanted to add to a nomination submitted by Officer Shelton for Sergeant Mark Wood. I have worked with Sergeant Wood for well over 20 years, and I've seen him in action my entire career. Sergeant Wood goes above and beyond for the citizens of Murfreesboro, mental health consumers, the homeless community, and his fellow employees. He is constantly there when you need him, always working overtime, always ensuring everyone gets what they need when they need it. I'm proud to work with Sergeant Wood each and every day. Although he pretends to be gruff, he's the most compassionate officer I ever worked with. Well, Sergeant Wood has been requested by your unit. It's been seconded by Officer McAdam. If you would, please stand. On behalf of the mayor, the entire city council, we do recognize you as the recipient of the STARS Award.
Hey, Mark, before y'all leave, I think lots of us, the entire council, the entire city administration, our entire team here at the city, we've gotten to work with you, especially over the last couple of years when we've been working on lots of different things. And I can always tell you, being in those meetings, and just had a downtown meeting that Sergeant Wood led, not only is he respected inside the 4 walls of City Hall, but this tells you a lot about who you are and how you lead with your group that's here. And you're setting the example for the team to be able to succeed outside of any of us. And so I just want to say thank you. I know our downtown organizations, when you talk to Sarah Callender, when you talk to Journey Home, they always are talking about the leadership of your team. And so not just for you, we thank the entire unit for what y'all do and how you represent Murfreesboro to those who need help. And I know you'll keep continuing doing that. So thank you so much. Mm-hmm. All right, we'll give them a few minutes. All right, you have 6 items on your consent agenda. Anything that needs to be pulled off the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Please call the roll.
Ms. Averwater.
Aye.
Ms. Gales Harris.
Aye.
Mr. Maxwell.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shacklet.
Aye.
Mr. Wade.
Aye.
Mr. Wright.
Aye.
Mayor McFarland.
Aye. All right, you have, under action items, you have city council meeting minutes. Are there any additions or deletions to the minutes?
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion and second. Please call the roll.
Ms. Averwater.
Aye.
Ms. Gales Harris.
Aye.
Mr. Maxwell.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shacklet.
Aye.
Mr. Wade.
Aye.
Mr. Wright.
Aye.
Mayor McFarland.
Aye. All right, we'll move to Plan of Services, Annexation, Zoning, and Matthew Blomley is going to present this. He does not care that there's a football game on tonight, so sorry.
I did poorly in recommending a date for this public hearing to Mr. Gore, so my apologies. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of council. We have 3 public hearings tonight, 2 of which are regarding the property that is on the map before you. It is approximately 27.9 acres located along the north side of Old Salem Road and the south side of Winslow Road, just to the west of Veterans Parkway. It also includes an approximately 3,000 linear foot segment of Old Salem Road right-of-way. The property owner requested in writing the annexation of the 27.9 acre parcel, and the Rutherford County Road Board granted its consent in September for the annexation of that segment of Old Salem Road. In your agenda materials, you have the plan of services before you that demonstrates how services can be provided to the subject property. It is in relatively close proximity to the existing city limits. You can see the city limits is shaded in the gray on the map before you. So it's directly adjacent to the city limits on its north side, and then also on its east side as well, because this map is a little bit dated. You'll remember there was an annexation that went into effect a month or 2 ago that also included the annexation of that small area as well. In the vicinity of the subject property to the south along Old Salem Road are several large undeveloped tracts, as well as some single-family residential homes on larger county lots, and to the west along Old Salem Road, similar types of county development. To the south along New Salem Highway, there's undeveloped land on the south side of Puckett Creek, and then to the north, of course, is the MTE substation and the CUD pump station there as well. The plan of services, as I mentioned, is in your agenda materials. It will be relatively easy to extend city services to the subject property. Sewer is not currently available to the subject property, and it will need to be extended from the south. And it's my understanding that there are several different routes that it could go, but the extension of sewer to serve this property would be the expense of the developer, and if the property were not to develop, it would remain on septic tank. With that being said, I'll be happy to answer any questions you have regarding the annexation. And just for the folks that are here in the audience, we're having 2 separate public hearings tonight, just as we did at Planning Commission. The first one is with regard to the annexation, and the one after my next presentation will be with regard to the companion zoning request. The Planning Commission considered this item at its November 5th regular meeting and recommended the approval of the annexation and the plan of services at that meeting. I'll be happy to answer any questions before or after the public hearing.
Any questions for Mr. Blomley? All right, we're going to need to hold a public hearing on the plan of I'm sorry.
Let me just ask one question. That when we have a property that doesn't have access to sewer when it's being considered, is there any, I mean, is that, is there a protocol or something, or do we just accept it that if they're going to develop it, then it's going to have to be on septic tank or whatever?
Yeah, sewer is unless sewer is there to serve the property, it is almost always, and I'll look at Ms. Smith, almost always the responsibility of the developer to extend the property if it is not there to serve the property already. So if the developer were not to extend sewer to serve that property, and in the interim the city does not undertake a public works project to extend sewer in proximity to the property, then it would remain on septic tank.
Well, could it develop as it's being presented, even though it wasn't on sewer, or would that preclude its development?
I'll look at Ms. Smith, but I don't believe that they would be able to get the density that they are proposing if it were to develop without sewer.
And there's no capacity issues in this area? Okay, yeah, okay. All right, thank you.
Sure.
So if it was on sewer, it's 62 single-family, 32 townhomes, what would the development look like? Instead of 94 units, are we looking at 60 units?
Do you mean if it was on septic tank?
If it was on septic?
I have not done that analysis. I do not know.
What about the road, Old Salem Road? I see that's in the green there.
Mm-hmm.
Whose road is that right now?
Right now, that is in the county's jurisdiction.
Okay.
And we have included it in this study to be annexed if you so choose. The county road board has granted its consent. I think we found that to consolidate jurisdictions in the event of development makes for good customer service opportunities rather than a developer having to go to multiple jurisdictions to get permits.
What's the condition of the road like? Is it going to need improvements? What grade is it right now? Is it?
So it's a 2-lane ditch section roadway right now. One of the items that would be presented in the zoning public hearing is that as a function of that development, the developer will be implementing a 3-lane cross section with a continuous center turn lane all the way from the western edge of their property to Veterans Parkway. The major transportation plan does show both Old Salem Road and Windrow Road adjacent to the property as slated for 3 lanes. So with Old Salem Road being on the major transportation plan, those improvements are being required by the developer upon development of the property.
What is the traffic going to look like out there? Have we done a traffic study?
So we've discussed internally the traffic. I know that there was quite a bit of discussion when we had the public hearing with the property along Old Salem Road to the east of Veterans Parkway a couple of months ago. And of course, we have our major transportation plan, which is the citywide traffic and transportation study that we undertake, and that was adopted in 2017. And then beyond that, individual traffic impact studies are conducted and submitted to the city transportation department with each development, and that was the case with this proposed development as well.
How many homes did we say townhouses?
In the proposed zoning, there are 66 single-family detached homes and 32 proposed townhomes. So for a total of 98 overall.
And maybe we do that multiply that by 2 or 3 because of cars. I'm just concerned about congestion out there.
Well, so a couple of things that I would point out is that our transportation department is actively looking at opportunities in this area. I think I mentioned this a couple of months ago. Rucker Lane, its signalization is imminent. According to the transportation department, we anticipate that being signalized either in spring or summer of 2026. And the intersection of Old Salem Road and Veterans, the transportation department will continue to monitor that for potential signalization in the future. Right now, traffic numbers are skewed because of the construction of New Salem Highway. And so what they've indicated to the planning department is that once traffic normalizes after New Salem Highway is complete, then they will look at the traffic numbers at that point to see if the intersection of Old Salem and Veterans warrants a traffic signal at that time. But at this time, with the added traffic from people trying to bypass the New Salem Highway construction, the numbers are a little bit bloated, and so they'd like the traffic to normalize after that road project before making a determination on whether or not those warrants are met.
How close is the nearest school? I'm still concerned about the traffic. The nearest school out there?
The nearest school, well, there's the Rockville Multi-School Campus to the west down New Salem Highway, and Salem Elementary School is to the southeast along St. Andrews Drive. And then, of course, Overall Creek Elementary to the north along Veterans Parkway.
So right now, we'll need to hold a public hearing just for the plan of services and the annexation, and then Mr. Blomley, would the discussion on several of the points that our council members have brought up also be discussed at the zoning as well?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. So if the council's okay, we'll do the plan of services and the annexation, and then talk about some of these other points at the zoning when we're also talking about the product network and all those things. So with that, we'll open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak for or against, if you'll come to the podium, you'll have 3 minutes if you're speaking on your behalf, 5 minutes if you're representing HOA. If you'll keep all your comments directed to the city council, we'll get those answered at the end of the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak for or against, please come to the podium.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ken Jacobson. My wife and I are residents of the Salem Downs community off North Walter Leathers Road in Rockvale, located about 1.5 miles from the proposed housing development. We access our community via Windrow Road, located about 1/8 of a mile from Old Salem. Tonight, I represent 5 other residents of the Salem's Downs community, as well as over 500 people who have signed an online petition opposing the annexation request. I'm encouraged to learn from the Planning Commission's website that annexations consider a multitude of factors, including the impact on police, fire, water and sewer, schools, and other city services. Absent from mention on the website are impacts on traffic patterns, which I'm refreshed to hear discussed, as well as the appearance and character of affected communities and the desires of the resident stakeholders to preserve a lifestyle they've spent significant time and wealth building for themselves and their families. With 98 new homes being proposed, I estimate, not scientifically, approximately 200 more vehicles being added to the already troubled traffic patterns at Old Salem and Veterans, Windrow and Veterans, and Rucker and Veterans. During morning and afternoon rush hours, these intersections can each have 10 or more vehicles waiting to enter a heavily trafficked Veterans Boulevard. Frequently, motorists who've been waiting for a break in traffic will attempt to merge into traffic gaps too small to safely accommodate them. Near-miss accidents occur almost daily, if not several times a day. Serious accidents have already occurred, most recently December 30th. While I've heard there are plans to align Rucker and Windrow roads and hopefully add a signal there, no actual work has begun, nor am I aware of a projected start date. I and other residents who use these intersections daily believe that reducing the hazards at these intersections should precede any new housing developments that would only worsen already dangerous intersections. But the county's and city's comprehensive plans contain language with stated objectives or guiding principles to, and I quote, guide development to establish commercial and residential nodes rather than residential sprawl. Also, to facilitate more contiguous, compact development patterns which will in turn protect farmland and open space from urban sprawl. And also, to protect the quality and characteristics of existing residential neighborhoods as they mature and as new development occurs nearby. I believe an honest examination of the proposed development would reveal that it would not naturally fold into any existing residential node, nor maintain the rural character of the locale it would be established in, but would instead constitute blatant residential sprawl inconsistent with the style of nearby housing. The current owner of this land does not reside on the property, in the county, or even in the state. Once the property is sold, the owner will be utterly unaffected by its development and no longer be a stakeholder in its future. Contrarily, many citizens who have spent a good portion of their lives and income shaping the character of Rockvale will experience unwelcome changes in the appearance, character, traffic congestion, and noise levels of their community. Judging by the remarks of several petitioners, I'm just one of many who would like to see a strategic pause in new housing developments, especially in rural areas, to better manage traffic patterns, commuting times, school capacities, and the unwelcome urbanization of rural communities across the county. Protecting existing character of communities is and should remain a stated goal of developmental planning. I urge the Planning Commission and this council to focus its efforts on improving already existing infrastructure and maximizing infill development opportunities within the current city boundaries. I will leave a copy of my notes, copy of the petition, a list of signers, and some comments from the signers with the Secretary. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, can you tell me your address again?
It's 5174
Okay.
Danbury Court.
Okay,
in
thank you.
Rockville. Yes, sir.
All right, anyone else wishing to speak?
Hello. Hello, Mayor and Council. Just here for personal reasons on this one, not under the IT director capacity, but I own the property that is across the road on Old Salem, where we're talking about. It's 4541 Old Salem Road. And I really can't do any better than the previous speaker, so I'm just going to say I second that. But I've just asked that you not approve another high-density development in this area that close to the intersection for veterans and Old Salem. And I would really appreciate the consideration there on that matter. And thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Jarrett. Yes, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council. I've been tracking this since November the 5th in the Planning Commission meeting.
Can we get your name?
Oh,
and
my name. I'm sorry.
It's all right.
Some of you know my name. Thomas Bruff, B-R-U-F-F. The topics that came out of the Planning Commission were this property, the water on the property, the flooding that it creates on Salem Road, Windrow Road, and some houses along Windrow Road. We talked about the schools, overcrowding. Scales just brought that up, where would they go to school at. The biggest topic is the public safety, an independent study of traffic. You know, we were hearing that there's been a study, but where is the study? You know, what are the results of the study? There wasn't anything of that such that was brought up. And going back to some of the things I pointed out here, is that the water on this property, it does flood some areas. I don't know if anybody's here from the developer, but if you don't live there, when it rains, it's like a swamp on that property, which runs down both sides of the roads and to the houses in that area. I know we say, well, engineering has solutions for that to retain the water, but engineering is hypothetical. It's not the reality. If you live out there, you know the reality. And if this goes through, whatever developer is paid for this property, you're going to probably be paying twice as much because of the water. And if you notice and it's not this map, but the drawings of the neighborhood, it tells you there's a water problem, when you have 3 or 4 sections that's got to be preserved for wetlands, and 3 or 4 sections that has to have detention ponds. So it's a mess with having that much on there. And another topic that I brought up, but I didn't feel like we got a clear answer in the Planning Commission, was the annexation. It appears and it looks like a flag. It's not a continuous development. And my question I'm posing to you guys is, has this requirement for a continuous development, has that changed? Because it's obvious that Old Salem Road is the handle or the pole of the flag. And I thought you couldn't do that. So the public safety aspect of the independent study, as some have already elaborated on, is there's numerous accidents around Highway 99, especially at Rucker. We talk about a signal is going to be at Rucker, a signal is going to be at Rucker. Guess what? There's not a signal at Rucker. There's not one at all. The gentleman spoke earlier from the Planning Commission meeting. The lady that came up from the engineering department, she was very clear that at Salem Road, and let's keep in mind, it's not only this property development, it's the one across Veterans as well, from one of y'all's last meetings. So it's not just 100 homes, it's an additional, I think it's 70, 80 plus more homes that's all crammed in about a fourth of a mile. And she made it very clear that there could not be a traffic light at Salem, Old Salem Road. So there can't be one at Windrow, so it has to be at Rucker, but it's not getting done. It's not getting done, and I don't know if that's going to solve the traffic problem or not. Because right now with Highway 99, which is New Salem Road, how long is that construction going to take? It seems like it's already been going on forever. But
Mr. Bruff, I've got you at 5 minutes. I've let you go longer than.
Okay, well, I'll wait until the next hearing.
Well, I don't. Okay. Oh, yeah.
Rezoning.
Perfect. Yep. Can we get your address, please?
3036 Berry Patch Trail.
Berry Pass?
Patch.
Patch. Okay. Thank you. All right. Anyone else wishing to speak for or against this annexation and plan of services request? All right. Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. And I've got several questions, but also just so everyone knows on the annexation and plan of services, if the annexation and plan of services pass and the zoning fails, then the annexation and plan of services does not pass either. So, Mr. Tucker, we had a question on contiguous or annexation. I think that's.
It's contiguous. If you can
Okay.
pull up the map right here, shows the existing city limits that are in gray. It's hard to tell because of the coloration of the screen, but you see there's city limits here, and this was actually annexed. The intersection was annexed, so it is contiguous with the city limits here on its north and east sides.
Okay. Yep. All right, so what we'll do, I've made notes where some of the questions that Mr. Bruff asked also really go more to the zoning, so we'll get those answered at the zoning as far as like the road network, where the development is, the engineering on the development itself. We're voting just on, can we annex it? Is it contiguous? And can we provide services to it? So we've closed the public hearing and we have this request in front of us.
Let me ask one question related to, is it going to be city sanitation department's going to pick up the trash? Is that how it's?
Yes, sir.
I know it relates a little bit to the zoning because I'm referring to the map that we have, but it looks like that alleyway is pretty tight. I didn't know if that was have we
The-
checked to make sure that that access is, our city sanitation department has no problem handling it?
The single-family homes, will be on city streets.
Okay.
And those city streets will have to be designed to city street standards.
Okay.
And if they're designed to city street standards, which I expect they will be,
Okay.
that they'll be held to that, then
can
sanitation
handle it.
will be able to be provided.
Okay, all right.
So I guess they brought up issues about, I guess what I'm gonna say is I've got nothing against a property owner, I guess, wanting to sell their property and have it developed. That's certainly within their right. I guess my issue is we never say no to anything. We just keep saying yes, and yes, and yes. And then people wonder why schools are overcrowded, roads are impossible to get anywhere. They could be developed. They could sell it, could be developed. It could be 60 homes probably. But it's not my job to make the numbers work. So that they can have access to the sewer and put 90 units in there. That's more profitable for them. So it's a good plan, but I think it's too many units. It's already overcrowded quite a bit. And we've kind of been down this road before previously, in Rockville, which involved annexing, Highway 99, and I was a no on that before. But you're saying it is contiguous?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And it's within the city's urban growth boundary and within the city's infill service line that was part of the adopted comprehensive plan.
Not to put you on the spot, the next thing that we're discussing, how far away is that from this project?
I can give you a measurement.
Sorry, I didn't mean to put, but is it a mile, a half a mile, quarter of a mile?
So as the crow flies, let's see, the property is right around here. And so as the crow flies, it is about 2.6 miles.
Okay. And the one we're talking about is on the right of the screen there?
The one that's the subject of the first two public hearings tonight is on the left.
On the left, okay.
And the one that's the subject of the third public hearing is on the right,
It's on the right.
closer into town.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Any questions on the plan of services and the annexation?
And we're having two readings on it.
Yeah, we'll have the zoning will be right after this, which we'll get into the plan.
But we'll have two votes on that.
Oh, yeah, two readings.
Because I have several questions, but I'm not going to take up time because they're in-depth questions.
Mayor, are you ready for a motion?
For the plan of services and annexation.
Motion to move the plan of services and the annexation. To approve, yeah.
Have a motion.
Second.
Motion is second. Ms. Tucker, please call the roll.
Ms. Saberwater?
Aye.
Ms. Gels Harris?
No.
Mr. Maxwell?
No,
Vice Mayor Shacklet?
No.
Mr. Wade?
Aye.
Mr. Wright?
Aye.
Mayor McFarland?
Aye. Now we'll move to talk about the zoning of the project. So this is the public hearing to zone 27.9 acres simultaneous with the annexation.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a request to zone the same property to PRD, Plant Residential District, for a subdivision proposed to be called Aubrey. And it would consist, as I mentioned, of 66 single-family detached homes on individual lots of record and 32 single-family attached townhomes that would be created as a part of a horizontal property regime. So the surrounding land uses, as I mentioned, along both sides of Old Salem are predominantly single-family residential uses and vacant tracts in the unincorporated county. Further to the west down Old Salem Road is the Maddington subdivision, which consists of about 20 lots fronting directly on Old Salem Road. That's under development right now, I believe, or getting close to be under development. To the east, across Veterans Parkway on Old Salem Road, there was a PRD that was recently approved, as you mentioned, for about 70 or 80 units, both single-family detached homes and townhomes. To the north along Windrow Road are some single-family homes in the unincorporated county, as well as the MTE power station and the CUD pump station. And the large area here is a part of the Marymount Springs PUD, which is now under a long-term landowner with no development intentions, at least for the time being. So, but it's in the city limits and has an approved development plan on it. Mr. Taylor and Mr. Grover from SEC will get up momentarily and give you a presentation on the proposed development as representatives of the developer. I'll just, as I mentioned, some bullet points about traffic in the area. I mentioned earlier that Rucker Lane is on track to be signalized within 3 to 6 months in the spring or summer of this year. Mr. Kerr said they're getting close to being ready to set poles down for that signalized intersection. Windrow Road itself is on the major transportation plan to be widened to 3 lanes and to be realigned to intersect with Rucker Lane there. But as unlike with the signal, which is funded and ready to be implemented, the realignment of Windrow Road, while on the major transportation plan, there are currently no plans to implement that road improvement. That would require development of the Marymount Springs tract, at which time we would require the developer to construct those improvements, or it would require a public works project to be funded by the city council as a part of the capital improvement program. As I mentioned, and this probably is contrary to what was said at the Planning Commission public hearing, but the latest information on the signalization of Old Salem Road and Veterans Parkway, as I mentioned before, is that our transportation would consider it if it met warrants. But as I mentioned earlier, they want to let the construction of New Salem Highway be completed so that they can get a more accurate reading of whether or not it meets warrants under normal circumstances. They also indicated to me that they are also actively monitoring the intersection of Old Salem Road and New Salem Highway further to the east of the subject property. And as you know, New Salem Highway is currently under improvements to a 5-lane cross-section. If you have any additional questions regarding traffic or stormwater, we have 2 resident experts in the house, Mr. Lee Smith, our Deputy Transportation Director, and Ms. Katie Knoll, project engineer in the Planning Department. And Mr. Matt Taylor, the design engineer, is here as well, and he can answer questions about the stormwater management on the site as well as the proposed improvements. So with that, the Planning Commission did recommend approval to the City Council at its November 5th regular meeting, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have, as will the other staff members here. And Mr. Taylor and Mr. Grover are going to give a presentation.
Mayor McFarland, members of the council, good evening. I'm Brian Grover from SEC. With me tonight is Matt Taylor from SEC as well. On behalf of Patterson Company and the representatives here tonight, I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to present to you this rezoning request. This request, known as Aubrey PRD, is located between Windrow Road and Old Salem Road, just west of Veterans Parkway. The 27.5-acre site is currently vacant, consisting primarily of naturalized and agricultural areas on the property. The surrounding properties consist primarily of residential and agricultural land use as well. Currently, it is zoned RM within the county. This would be bringing it into the city with the request to be a planned residential development. The surrounding area consists primarily of RM Rutherford County zoning with the PUD Merrimont Springs to the north, as well as some commercial highway to the southeast near the New Salem intersection with Veterans Parkway. The future land use plan foresees this area as suburban residential. That is proposing within those guidelines a density of no more than 4 units an acre, and this development is proposed at approximately 3.5, which is under that recommended density. Here's some example photos of the site as it is today. This is looking down Old Salem Road from Veterans Parkway looking west, and this is towards the east, towards that other development Matthew was discussing earlier. Here's some views of those naturalized looking areas from Windrow Road, as well as from Old Salem, and some of those areas that were used at some point, or not recently, as from this photograph, as agriculture. Here's the proposed concept. It's a total of 98 units, 66 of those being single-family detached and 32 of those townhomes. Once again, ending that density of 3.5 units an acre. As you will see here, there's 2 entrances onto Old Salem Road. We have western and eastern entrance. When coming to the site, you will see that the first thing you'll see is a single-family detached. That, along with the existing wetlands and open space, make up a majority of the perimeter of the site. As you move towards the center, you will see the townhome portion of this development, which would be serviced by an alleyway, as those are rear-loaded townhomes, with open space to the north of the project, consisting of a walking trail and fitness circuit and playground. Some key standards within this development: all of these homes will not be sold in bulk. Home occupations will be allowed on site, however, they will not be allowed to receive clients on site. The development will be managed by a third-party HOA, which would be in charge of the common areas, including guest parking. Driveways will be a minimum of 16 feet wide, and any portion of this development that wishes to use the garage as part of the calculations for parking will have to meet the interior garage clear space dimensions as in outlined in the Murfreesboro zoning ordinance. The single-family detached lots on this property consist primarily around the perimeter of the development. They will be 51 by 120, which is about a 6,000 square foot minimum lot size. These homes will be 1 to 2 stories with a maximum height of 35 feet, have a minimum of 3 bedrooms, and have a 2-car frontage garage. These homes will have a 24-inch water table along all 4 sides of the building. And here's an example illustration of those homes, as well as a sample photo of that product. The single-family attached units are located centralized within the development to help with that transition to the existing residential properties. These would be sold as an HPR, have a minimum of 2 to 3 bedrooms, minimum of 2 bedrooms, maximum of 3 bedrooms, and be limited to 35 feet in height as well. These buildings will also be required to have that 24-inch water table. One of the concerns we had with the first meeting with Planning Commission was guest parking, so we took this back and added additional parking. Not only is there head-in parking along the south and northern portions of the townhome block, there's some spaces internally, but we added some on-street parking as well to provide additional guest parking for this development, which puts the townhomes approximately 62 spaces over the minimum required parking requirements. As stated before, these homes would be 1 to 2 stories and limited to 35 feet in height. A majority of the exceptions requested with this book deal with the setbacks for these townhomes. I won't go into those in detail, but you can see those in the back of the book within the exceptions table. Here's an example image of what those townhomes would look like, as well as a rear elevation. When it comes to the traffic for this site, as stated before, ingress and egress will be off of Old Salem Road. There is some modifications to the right-of-ways within this development. The typical right-of-way within Murfreesboro is about a 42-foot right-of-way. These sections that you see in the dark blue along the townhomes are a modified right-of-way to 33 feet to accommodate the on-street parking. Old Salem Road would be improved to that 3-lane cross-section as stated earlier, and any necessary part of the property that would need to be donated for the right-of-way expansion, that we would do that as well. Here's an example of the typical 42-foot public right-of-way within Murfreesboro, and here's a section of the modified right-of-way near the townhomes. In discussing with staff, there's a few key points we need to make sure that were being followed. One is that the on-street parking would still be maintained by the HOA. So this is why we have that modified right-of-way down to 33 feet. So the on-street parking is not included within that right-of-way. Sidewalks would be included in the easement to make sure that public access was still available. And all of these street specifications, including corner clearance requirements, will be met for both parking spaces and drives per these written standards. The amenities on site are located on the northern side. They will consist of a walking trail along with a fitness circuit. The PRD book does go in a little more detail, actually requiring a certain number of these circuits, as also detailing the type and specifications for the playground that will be required for this development. Some additional landscaping is being proposed along the northern side to help mitigate any impact from that open space to the existing northern neighbors, as well as enhanced landscape being proposed along Old Salem Road to dress it up, similar as we've seen along Veterans Parkway with some of those developments, to create more of a visual entrance into the development. If you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer those now or after the public hearing.
Any questions?
It stated RS6 at 7.2 units per acre. How many units would be in this?
If it was RS6 with,
Yeah,
so it would be 2 units max, so we're about 27 and a half acres. We'd be looking just a little over 50.
a little over 50 versus the 98.
Correct.
Okay.
RS6, 1 to 2 units an acre? No, it's not. It's way more than that, yeah. It's 7 units an acre, yeah. So we're looking
You got
closer to,
RS6 at 7.2 and RSA type 2 at 12 units an acre.
yeah, if we're looking at 7 units an acre, we're well over 140 at that point.
I'm sorry, you're saying it's zoned?
If it was zoned RS6, you're looking about approximately 7 units to the acre. If we're at 27 and a half acres, they'd be entitled to a little bit over 140 units.
So it's currently zoned for 7 units per acre?
No.
If we were to annex it and not rezone it, is what I'm saying.
That's what I'm looking at right here. It says maximum gross density 7.2 units an acre.
If it were to be annexed without the companion zoning, it would default to an interim RS15 zoning classification, so minimum 15,000 square foot lots.
Okay.
So depending on how much you'd have to take out for right-of-way and detention, and I'd say you're probably looking at, if it was RS15, well, then a septic tank as well. It's hard to do these calculations
Where
on the
did
fly.
RS6 come from? I'm confused.
I'm just looking at what's on
That's the
page
neighbor.
24.
Oh, okay, in
I
the
think
PUD book.
they're comparing it to, so the most similar single-family detached zoning classification is RS6. So that's what they're comparing it to see how similar it is to the regular RS6 zoning district. But it wouldn't default, the zoning wouldn't default to RS6 if this zoning request wasn't approved.
Okay.
Okay.
Any questions? All right, we need to open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak for or against, please come to the podium. Mr. Bruff.
If you don't mind, I'll start where I left off.
Sure.
So we're talking about a public safety study, ideally an independent study, a third party, that obviously would show no bias. And in the city council meeting, as I watched that meeting, there was, I would say that your city manager, Mr. Gore, he got it. He understood the importance of the study. So thank you, Mr. Gore. And Bill Shacklet and Ms. Scales and Mr. Wade had questions about doing a study. And that's a big importance to, I think, to everyone that lives out there, is this Ruckert Road, Highway 99, Windrow Road. It is dangerous, very much dangerous. And one thing I didn't get a chance to bring up earlier was when we talk about water and the water flow getting to this residential area, does the city have the capacity themselves to get water in case of a fire to the fire hydrants? Or is this something that's contracted out to Consolidated Utility? I'd be interested in knowing the answer to that question, but you know, I feel like my concerns and other ones I've talked to are very legitimate. They're very valid, and I think some of this needs to be redressed, studied a little bit more before moving forward with this. This is a dangerous and it seems messy situation. There's been several questions that have come up that there's not really clear answers, it seems to be. But I'm asking y'all to do the right thing. We're talking about saving lives. And it could be your family, it could be your kids, it could be your friends, people coming through off of Veterans, Rucker, Highway 99. We're talking about saving people's lives. That's what's important. And as you know, representing the city of Murfreesboro and caring about the community, even out in the county areas, saving lives is important when it comes to this traffic situation that we currently have. And I know the gentleman has said, well, it's 3 months, 6 months. We've heard it before. When is the traffic signal going to be there? What is the deadline for it to be there? More time goes by, more accidents. If you're not out that way, you don't see it. You know, and ask you a question, what is wrong with getting more information, more research done before moving forward? What is wrong with that? Should be nothing. For something not to change right now, it should be okay. It should be okay. That's all I had.
Thank you, Mr. Burke.
Thank you.
All right, anyone else wishing to speak for or against? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name's Casey. I live at 1029 Alta Vista Lane.
What's your last name, Casey?
Coleman.
Casey Coleman. Okay.
So I don't live in this exact area, but I am a member of this community. Drive through here all the time. I think that a few of you have brought quite a few legitimate concerns. There is a massive issue with overcrowding in schools, a huge issue with traffic. Just trying to get here tonight, it should take 20 minutes, took me about 40. Everyone knows it's a huge problem that we have. I think maybe a bigger problem too is you have a lot of people bringing up issues, and it seems that maybe your phones are more important than your constituents that are talking to you. Mr. Wright?
I'm actually looking up on the map on what you're talking about.
Okay, yeah. And so I think it's very important that maybe we stop considering what is important for like the profits of developers and maybe what people in the community care about. So when they're up here bringing up valid concerns of traffic, of safety, of flooding, of not wanting their areas to be overdeveloped, maybe we listen to them. People have 500 signatures? 500 signatures. When we're talking about we have a town that maybe there's districts that not even 500 people vote in, you got 500 signatures in a small community that don't want this to happen. I think it's important to listen to them. And so I'm with you. I think that you should not vote on this and oppose it. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak for or against? All right, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Ms. Coleman, for what it's worth, mine's a timer. I promise. I'm looking at my timer that's on the phone, so.
Nobody's business.
All right, we have some questions. I think we've already answered the contiguous development. I think I can answer, or the contract, there's no water that's contracted or contracted, but this is in the CUD. Mr. Baum, if you want to the CUD, I think I looked at your address on Berry Patch, that's CUD as well. So that whole area is CUD, but.
Yeah, there's an agreed upon service boundary between Murfreesboro Water Resources and CUD on water provision, water service. So this is in CUD's service area, and CUD would be the water provider.
Okay, and is there pressure requirements that they would be required for any home or development that CUD would be or they would require the developer to meet those requirements?
Yeah, and Ms. Smith, can you speak to what the fire department would look at?
Good evening. Yes, Consolidated Utility District, even though it's in their service area, they are required to meet the city's fire protection requirements. So fire hydrants will have to be at the pressure and flow that the city would require.
Okay. We got the contiguous development done. So is someone from engineering, or Mr. Valmy, there was questions about engineering?
So if it's regarding stormwater, I think Mr. Taylor can address those from a developer standpoint, and Ms. Knoll from our department can address it from the city standpoint. And Mr. Lee Smith with our transportation department is here if you have traffic-related questions.
Traffic light, that's been a topic. So is that going to happen in 2 months, 3 months? What's the time frame for that?
So, Mr. Smith, do you want to address that?
Council, the schedule for the project, for the traffic signal at Rucker and Veterans, the status of it, we've staked out all the utilities. We've gotten those utilities cleared. We have a meeting with MTE early next week to talk about clearance over the power poles. Once that's all complete, we have the poles ordered and then can install them. We said 3 to 6 months to be conservative, and we don't have a specific date. Okay. We can certainly set one, okay. But we are confident in spring or summer. We have made good progress on that, and we're looking forward to having it in place. It will have a really positive impact on the traffic on Veterans Parkway, Veterans Road.
Okay. As soon as you can get a date, let us know.
Yes, sir. Can do that.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so I guess Mr. Taylor, do you want to address the stormwater engineering?
Yes, sir. Matt Taylor of SEC here at 850 Middle Tennessee Boulevard. So we've got, I think, 3 detention ponds planned on the site. In addition to that, we're also preserving some natural areas, the wetlands that abut up directly against Windrow Road. So, as with every project, whenever, if this was to be approved, we would bring engineered plans back through the planning department. Those will be engineered by a licensed engineer as well as reviewed by one of your licensed engineers. Those have to detain the 100-year storm, so whatever water's leaving today, you can't put more water on the neighbor after the fact either. And so I believe several of you have mentioned in the past with projects that engineered systems can solve some of these issues that we see on undeveloped properties, and I think this is one of those instances that has that ability. Whether you solve it or you at least help it, that's the goal with all the projects that we have. So you can't always solve the entire area, but you can usually help. So, and this project would do the exact same things as our other projects have done.
We had a joint meeting yesterday with the Planning Commission, and it was very helpful, but something stuck in my head, and I'm going to mention it because I think it applies to this. All the easy development property in Murfreesboro has been developed, and I think even a developer would admit this has some challenges to develop this property. And it doesn't take you, when you look at the development plan, trying to deal with retention and existing wetlands, trying to deal with this, how to develop this property is not going to be an easy task. The reason I voted against this annexation, and we had something similar real close to here that concerned me as well, that they were all coming in here. I'm not against people trying to develop property. I think hopefully we'll be encouraged to people want to make investments in our community over the years. But the problem that I think we face as a growing community is the timing of these things. It seems like forever we're behind the curve. We're trying to make road improvements after we've put people under stress. And just think about this. Look, if you look at the design, there's two access to the property, but the one that's closest to veterans, probably 80% of your property is to the south, or going to go through that south exit. It's going to be tough for people that live in this project to get in and out. There's going to be some issues with that. So I'm concerned that we might be able to do better, that there might be a better development. And I realize this is a challenge because this property is obviously had from the existing property owners saying it floods when it's raining. I think the developers understand that because they're trying to address it with detention ponds and the wetlands. But something that had a red flag, I had never seen this in a plan book before, but explain maybe, it says all homes will have a minimum of 24-inch high water table on all four sides. Is that because you think there's going to be flooding? Or what is that? I've never seen that before.
No, sir. So water table is an architectural term, and so it's a brick ledge up at least 24 inches. Has absolutely nothing to do with water, flooding, stormwater, anything. And so it is an architectural term. It's meant to, staff has, and rightfully so, I'm sure at council's direction, asked to try to enhance some of those sides. So instead of having hardy board go all the way to the ground, it's to bring the brick up 2 feet above, and so it just enhances the way those look. So it has nothing to do with that. And let me be clear, I am perfectly confident in our ability to design this drainage system that there's not going to be an issue with the project or harm our neighbors at all. And so the problems that are there is because the natural ground is flat. If you look at the topo, the areas in those wetlands, and the reason that it's wetlands is because you got the same elevation over 10 acres or something, or I don't know the acreage, but over a significant portion of the property. And so we have done the traffic study, and the level of service in the traffic study shows that it is acceptable. That has been reviewed by your traffic engineers. And so do people have to wait longer today than they did a couple of years ago? I would say absolutely. I think we've set up here and said many times that there's never going to be less traffic than there is today.
No, that's true.
And so we set forth these engineering standards that are accepted across our nation, and those are the standards that this project has met, just like every other project that comes up here. And so, will our residents have to wait a little bit to get out on Veterans Parkway? Absolutely. Are those going to be egregious? No, they're well within the engineering standards that we all accept with every project, and so we're very comfortable with those. I think if there was a safety problem here, that would have flushed itself out, and you would see the history of accidents, and I don't think that you've seen that. When the city has seen that, such as Veterans and Armstrong, you've addressed that. There's a signal at Veterans at Armstrong today because of a safety issue.
Do we know, when you do a traffic study, do we know the number of accidents that have happened in this area?
So we don't have to go with the traffic impact study. We would not. What the traffic impact study will look at is sight distance triangles. Do we have good visibility everywhere? And we absolutely have that at this intersection.
But more people make it more dangerous, doesn't it?
I wouldn't say that it makes it more dangerous. It adds volume. Does it increase the potential because you have more people there? I think that's probably a fair statement, but I don't think it makes it more dangerous. I think the situation of the road will make something more dangerous. And the city has designed and built a safe road in Veterans Parkway.
My thought is that what we can control is the timing of some of these things taking place. That is a responsibility that this body has. And I think last time some of the comments that we were making was to take a bigger look at how traffic flows in this particular area, because this area, because of what's happening on Veterans, what's happening out on Salem, Pike, all the development that's happening on there, that we need to do a study, a look at how all of this comes together. And rather than, I think the analogy I used last time was stuffing the sausage, we continue to stuff the sausage and think, well, we'll deal with it someday. And I think putting that off is not a prudent or a responsible way of looking at it. Whether it's a study or it's just something that happens in our planning department, I think it would be the responsible thing to do to look at the impact of these things, as opposed to continuing to approve things and then hope it works out. I don't think you're allowed to speak. I'm sorry.
Am I able to speak to the rezoning?
The public hearing's already been closed, sir. Yes, ma'am. Okay. What's the I'm looking on the property that's to the, across, next to the,
Southeast.
yeah, so I guess next to the MTE substation, that's an undeveloped piece. I was looking for the overall map to show the zoning of, I'm having trouble finding that.
Mr. Mayor, are you referring to this property?
Yes.
That is the balance of the Marymount Springs
Marymount
PUD.
Springs.
Okay.
That is no longer owned by a developer. It's owned by a long-term landholder out of New York. So it has zoning approved for mixed-use development. However, we don't, and it's been approved for almost 20 years, but we don't anticipate that being developed anytime soon.
Okay.
There's another one.
Yeah.
Where-
So we've hit traffic, public safety, engineering, contiguous development. Those are the items that we have control over. Any other questions for Mr. Palmley? Thank you, Mr. Palmley. We're in the awkward silence phase. Council members, do y'all have any other discussion?
I think it's a good-looking development at 3.5 units per acre, which on Planning Commission, almost on a monthly basis, we're seeing stuff at 7, 8, 9 units an acre.
This is the lowest I've seen in a while.
The lowest I've seen in a long time, just for hear myself talk.
You're just trying to ease the silence. That's what you're
Yeah.
doing. Yeah. Well, it sounds like everyone on council has watched the Planning Commission meeting, of course, that Councilman Wright and I were at, and I said how I feel about the development there, which is, like Sean just said, it's low density compared to what we've seen recently. I know, Bill, you asked about the water table. When I first got on Planning Commission, I thought that's what a water table was too. But truth be told, I feel like the applicant worked really well with staff, met with planning commissioners quite often to get the architecture and the aesthetics of this neighborhood looking really good. Sean was very invested in the traffic light and we've asked many, many questions at the Planning Commission meeting about the traffic light that is imminent. And for 3.4 units per acre, like Sean said, that's quite literally a third of what we have seen very regularly. And it's less units per acre than many of the other developments that have come up in this part of the urban growth boundary. So I said my piece at the Planning Commission meeting, but I support the project.
I just want to, Mr. Bromley, can just clarifying. You said that we would go back and look at Old Salem stoplight at a future date once Veterans was completed. But if my recollection was Old Salem was if we put one at Rucker, it's too close to go. It's either too close to Salem or too close to Rucker to add that second stoplight, correct?
So in discussions as recently as this afternoon with our transportation department, there's about 1,000-foot separation, which isn't ideal, but they said that they're open to considering it if it meets the warrants. And so
what is that? I'm sorry, can you explain what that means? I'm not sure what that means.
So, and Mr. Smith could probably do a better job, but I think the ideal minimum separation between signalized intersections is about 1,200 or 1,300 feet. And so the two intersections of Rucker and Veterans and Old Salem and Veterans are about 1,000 feet of separation. So our transportation department has indicated, and Mr. Smith can provide more detail, that they're not closed off to considering that intersection, despite the fact that it's a couple hundred feet short of the ideal separation, provided that it meets warrants after the New Salem Highway construction project is complete.
That's what you were saying, deviated from what was talked about at Planning Commission.
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay.
And Mr. Smith might have something to add to that.
One thing that's I think important about the signal that will be installed here very soon, from the safety standpoint, or from the signal will provide gaps, provide the stopping movement south on Veterans, so folks on Windrow will have an easier time getting out. So that'll improve motorist decision making there at that intersection. And as far as the warrants, like Mr. Bromley said, that's not an ideal distance. We're able to coordinate the signals and operate them in a way they can operate more closely together. It can be done that way. We really just need to see the TDOT project complete and have a clear picture of the volumes and everything as soon as those settle out. So.
The road improvements to Old Salem, though, are part of your development, right? Is that,
yes,
that's part of the development? So those will happen regardless. So my concern is timing in this. So, and I don't want to pour cold water on, I think the majority of it, there's issues with it, like I say, about maybe density, but if it's people that are happy with the density, I'm not so concerned with that, but the timing of this, can we get a clear picture as to what we are going to do, or we're committed to as a city, for the improvement of the traffic situation and flow in this area? In other words, we're closer to the red light at Rucker. We know clear that we're going to be able to do, or we're not going to be able to do, Old Salem stoplight. Is there a way to split the baby to have these kind of things, a little clearer picture, to where we've promised folks some improvement that's going to happen out there, as opposed to this pie in the sky, and yeah, we're going to deal with that sometime down in the future. Can we, a month, make a difference?
It really has to do with the traffic flow, Commissioner. I mean, it's right now, it's very much skewed. Folks are taking different routes because of the work on New Salem. So the volumes are inflated. Those intersections of Rucker and Old Salem. Once that job is finished, and the ask about the schedule, we can find that out from TDOT. It's a very big project as far as the scope of it, but it's hard to make those decisions from an engineering standpoint without the data being correct.
So are we waiting for New Salem to?
It's a big factor, complete? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But the good thing is we will be collecting impact fees, so that when that does happen, a decision can be made pretty quickly, and we have the funds available we'll have in order to make a move there at Old Salem and Veterans. So we won't be waiting on other things. Once that happens, we can take a pretty close look at it fairly quickly and move. So,
And you'll have impact fees from both neighborhoods, correct?
yes, sir.
For 98 units.
Yeah, whatever the approved.
Approved, yeah.
Bill, that's the quandary I think I find myself in looking at this, that, you know, we have residents who want less density that this development has, but then we want infrastructure improved, and so.
How do you pay for it?
Well, not even just how you pay for it. I mean, I think respectfully, you know, you talk with Mayor Carr all the time, and he'll tell you something they're really working on. They just don't build roads.
Yeah.
So, you know, Old Salem Road, or the people who are on Windrow Road, like in Blackberry Patch, or, I mean, that road's not going to get improved without your taxes being raised, which is exactly what they will tell you. So when I look at it, I'm like, okay, yeah, it's 90 units, but it's 3 units per acre. I mean, the other thing you could look at is if somebody went through and said, look, we're going to do it RS15, and they're going to do front, they're just going to quarter off and put property with driveways onto Windrow Road and Old Salem Road, which is way less expensive. And so, look, you can say that it's about the money. It's not necessarily about like the property tax. It's like, hey, do we want to be able to say we're getting, how many, what's the linear footage of road that will be improved, or a 3-lane road on Old Salem? That was not in here.
It's about half the distance that we're annexing, so probably about 1,500 linear feet.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's the part I'm struggling with, that, I mean, the only other alternative, and I think this is the other caveat that some people, is just don't do anything. We don't want to prove anything. And there's the, so it's either low density with infrastructure improvements, low density with no infrastructure improvements, high density with infrastructure improvements, or do nothing. And then you can guarantee that Windrow and Old Salem will 100%, I would bet everything I have, they're not getting improved without some sort of development. So that's the quandary I look at to try to figure out, how do we get the infrastructure improved? And the other part with that, everyone always says build infrastructure first. There's a way to do that, and that's to tax every single person who lives out here to build those roads.
Yeah.
And so we can do that. But then what's going to happen is the people who live on Windrow and Old Salem, or that area, get taxed to build a road for the developer to develop property at some point. So that's the issue. It's a no-win situation.
Yeah.
Mr. Blomley, what's the current zoning? Is it RS15
For the subject property?
for this property?
I believe it's RM in the unincorporated county, which is residential medium density. It's similar to our RS15.
Okay. And kind of getting ahead a little bit here, but RS6 is 7.2 units an acre.
So RS6, 7.2 units per acre if you don't have roads, if you don't have detention. Once you factor in roads and detention, you're probably looking more at 4 units per acre, 4 to 5 units per acre, I would say.
7.2 is the sewer capacity that could be, is that right? 7.2?
The sewer allocation ordinance specifies a maximum of 7 single-family units, but 7.2 is like the gross density in the zoning ordinance based on the minimum lot size. But once you factor in those public improvements, the 7.2 isn't really realistic.
Well, I'm just trying to make a point here. RSA2, I think it's 12 units an acre. I'm looking ahead to the next project. And I know we've talked about, hey, the number looks better, it's 3.5. And so the next project is going from 7.2 to 12. So it's an interesting discussion. If we're all about, hey, that's a low number, then why not just leave this as is at what it is currently? Because I'm sure it's not 3.5, it's obviously less than that, which is less density. Again, I'll say it again, it's not my job to make it work for the developer. You know, I worry about people in schools. I worry about them on roads. It's not my job. You know, if you want to buy it, develop it, more power to you. But at the end of the day, you know, if 500 signatures are saying, no, don't do this, you know, I have to listen to that.
Right, and nor is it our job either.
Yeah.
We're simply presenting the information
Yeah.
that we have to give you all the information that you need to make a decision.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Bromley, is Veterans Parkway, is it at capacity right now?
Veterans Parkway at capacity?
Yeah.
I would doubt it. I would.
It's pretty empty when I drive it.
Peak hour, it's not at capacity.
Okay.
Local service. Capacity being determined by throughout the day or at peak hours, morning and afternoon. I think Mr. Taylor had mentioned it's not, it's a level of service, is it C, Matt?
We looked at this intersection, I think it's C or better.
You're better, yeah. So it is, there are certainly, during the peak hours, that's part of the equation, but that's not the entire consideration for whether a road is at capacity. So.
Well, I'll bet there's other intersections where development, community is looking to grow, that we probably need to get ahead of the curve a little bit as far as evaluating the transportation and how it's going to flow. Because this kind of happened, and we talked about the fact that we need to be ahead of the curve a little bit. So anyway.
Just one thing on that. I mean, you're right, Councilman, but the major transportation plan is intended to do just that.
Yes.
Now, it's being intentional about how that's implemented, but that's exactly what it's intended to do, is to get ahead of that. And we've, I believe, done that. It's not simple.
It's never ended, too.
Yes, sir.
It's
Yes, sir.
never ends.
But we need to use that transportation plan to our advantage. We are. But the timing that the mayor talked about is a challenge. You know, when things come in, and it's hard to get ahead of the infrastructure that needs to be put out there. So.
What's the impact fees potentially from this? I mean, if you're talking 98 units at 2,000 square feet at what, $2 a square foot? I mean, I could pull out my phone and pull out my calculator. I don't want to get yelled at by the lady in the back. So.
That's for all four buckets, Austin.
That's for all 4 buckets.
Yeah.
Because
that's
roads,
public safety, parks, and schools.
And schools.
I think I've had a client recently throw out a number of about 12,000 a house. I don't know if that math applies necessarily to the average house here, but that was kind of their budget on a project, and that may or may not be in the ballpark here.
$12,000 a house?
That counts the county as well.
The-
So I don't.
I just know we went through and added them up, and we said 12.
Well, that probably includes the water the tap fee at $4,900, and I don't think it's cost that much. I mean, if you were to add building permit, impact fee, water tap fee.
Right. Total revenue collected by the city, maybe.
But not, I mean, a lot of those are directed to specific goods and services. But the impact fee is
$2 a foot.
$2 a square foot,
Yeah,
right?
so I think
Divided
Ms.
by
Knoll
4
just did some quick math at, I think, 2,000 square foot a house times 98 times 2, and it came up to $392,000, I think.
It's probably going to be more than 2,000 square feet, I would say, on average. But
2,000.
that's a good, I mean, you say anywhere between $500,000 to $400,000.
Divided by 4 buckets. However, I guess my point is, if we're saying, you know, the density helps with the infrastructure, it's a small amount of money that you're getting off of impact fees to be invested in infrastructure. So.
But, I mean, Austin, the only thing I would say, and you also have to take the impact fee and also back out the amount of widening that would be done by the developer. Now, we can get into economy. I mean, that's going to be added to the project cost, which is in turn going to be passed over to the consumer. So the consumer's the one who's paying for it, but it's the people who are living in that development who would be paying for the infrastructure associated to their development. So, and I don't know what that number is. Y'all bringing up, it's great points to consider, what that is.
I like the development. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion is second. Any other discussion? Ms. Tucker, please call the roll.
Miss Averwater?
Aye.
Miss Gels Harris?
No.
Mr. Maxwell?
No.
Vice Mayor Shacklet?
No.
Mr. Wade?
Aye.
Mr. Wright?
Aye.
Mayor McFarland?
Aye. All right, let's move to, hey, and I would want to recognize Leadership Rutherford's here. I was going to tell y'all to go ahead and leave, but y'all are already scooting out, so. Y'all have made it an hour and 21 minutes longer than most people make it, so.
Yeah.
Thank y'all for coming. All right, let's move to the rezoning property along Asher's Fork Drive.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Subject property is located along the north side of Asher's Fork Drive. Mr. Lloyd is developing the Waits Creek Crossing subdivision, which is on the former Waite property along the south side of New Salem Highway. If you'll notice on the aerial photo here, his subdivision starts at Asher's Fork and goes south for quite a bit. He's been working at that subdivision for the last several years. Back about 5 or 6 years ago, he had this portion of the development zoned to RS6. I believe it was CF, if I'm not mistaken. I believe it was originally zoned CF all the way from New Salem Highway south to Asher's Fork. And so he submitted a preliminary plat, had that preliminary plat approved for single-family lots, minimum 6,000 square foot, but he has never moved forward with that section of his development. To the north is a portion of the property zoned CF, which is undeveloped. To the west is the developing commercial subdivision that contains the Waffle House and the daycare, and there are several other lots there that are developing right now. To the south of the subject property is the balance of his subdivision. To the east of the subject property is the Spence Creek Estates subdivision in the unincorporated county, and there is an existing single-family residential subdivision on the north side of New Salem Highway, although I think a number of those homes along the frontage of New Salem Highway have actually been converted to commercial uses. So Mr. Lloyd is requesting that about half of the acreage that is currently zoned RS6 be rezoned to RSA2 so he can introduce a townhome component to his subdivision. His subdivision right now, the majority of it is zoned RSA1, which is single-family residential attached. But the subdivision does allow both, or the RSA1 zone does allow both attached and detached units. And while he does have some zero lot line attached units, the majority of the lots in the subdivision are actually for detached homes. So the southern portion of the undeveloped tract in his subdivision would remain zoned RS6 for minimum 6,000 square foot lots, and the northern portion is requested to be rezoned to RSA2. So 9.6 acres. The maximum density that he could achieve under the sewer allocation ordinance is, I believe, 7 dwelling units per acre for RSA2. So at 9.6 dwelling units per acre, you'd be looking at between 60 and 70 dwelling units on that property.
How many again? 60 and 70?
Yes.
Okay.
So the subject property on the future land use map is identified as AUR, auto urban residential, which recommends both single-family detached and single-family attached dwelling units. And now it does put a maximum limit on both the acreage and the number of units that can be developed as townhomes. So the AUR land use character recommends a maximum of 20% of overall acreage consisting of attached residential units, and a maximum 40% of the overall number of units would be attached residential units. So when looking at the entire Waits Creek Crossing development, when fully built out, there would be approximately 127 attached units that would take into account both the proposed townhomes as well as the zero lot line units that are already constructed. And when I say the zero lot line units, think of the old Decker and Belt type development with the 2 units and the lot line going straight down the party wall. And 174 single-family detached units. So if this zoning is approved, the percentage of units that would be attached would be 42.2%, which would be slightly over the 40%. And the acreage would be 29.2%, which would be roughly 9% over the recommended 20% that could be devoted to townhomes. One thing that I will mention, however, is that the balance of the development, the existing development, you'll see that's a darker brown shade. It's actually denoted on the future land use map as MF, multifamily residential. So only a portion of the subject property, a portion of the development is identified as auto urban residential. But Mr. Clyde Roundtree and Mr. Chip Lloyd are both here if you have any questions for them about their development intentions. As I mentioned, the maximum density that they could achieve would be 7 dwelling units per acre based on the sewer allocation ordinance. The Planning Commission considered this zoning request at its November the 5th meeting and voted at that time to recommend approval of this request to the City Council. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Sorry to be that guy, because I know you probably want to go home and watch a real college football team play off. If nothing changed, what's the difference in units? That's what I can't figure out.
So at RS6, and I believe that is about, let's see, Clyde, Bill, do you recall the total acreage of the Section 6 area?
You can go ahead and answer the question, though.
Okay.
Rex, if that's all right.
Yeah, go right ahead.
You didn't recognize me before. Good evening, Mayor McFarland, members of council. I'm Bill Huddleston with Huddleston Steel Engineering. What we're looking at is 6.7 acres to be rezoned. It's currently zoned RS6, which are single-family homes. I figure at 5 lots per acre, we get about 33 homes on there. We're projecting about 60 on this development. I think Matthew said 60 to 70. We're looking at more like 60 instead of 70. Okay. Now, one thing that seems to come up from time to time is traffic. I'd like to say something about that if I could. Single-family homes generate about 10 trips per day. All right, so given that 33 lots, you're looking at 330 trips out of this 6.7 acres. The townhomes that we're proposing don't generate that much traffic. They generate more like 6 to 8 trips per day. So for the 60 or so homes, if you went 7 trips per day, you're looking at 420. So it's not a big increase in traffic. Also want to point out that we already have a large retention area to handle stormwater, and it's handling it well. I was in that same meeting, Mr. Shacklet, when Mr. McKnight, I believe it was, said we don't have any easy properties anymore, and he's almost right, but we do have a couple, and this is one of them.
I'm hungry, so that's good.
I'll be happy to answer any questions either now or after the public hearing.
All right, we need to open the public hearing on the rezoning of this 9.6 acres. Anyone wishing to speak for or against, please come to the podium.
Hi, my name is Julia Hahn. I live at 2107 Behringer Lane. But I have a couple of questions. Since I'm right there, I'm very close to the retention pond and the kind of open area that we're looking at. So one of my questions is, as far as traffic, there is no road going out to New Salem. It is coming up to Asher's Fork only. Is that correct? And is that something I should just ask and then I get that answer later?
Yes, ma'am. We'll
Okay.
get that for you at the end.
Another question I have is what is going to be between the development and Asher's Fork Road? I live right almost at Asher's Fork Road in Behringer Lane there, so I'd like to know what's going to be there. I know there's power lines there, and that's probably why they can't build there. But just was wondering if there's going to be trees put in or whatever. Right now, it's completely bare. The other concern that I did have when I was kind of listening to this was between the new development here and New Salem Highway. There is a lot of water down there. There's a dam, there's beavers. It doesn't seem like that water goes away really ever. Like even right now, there's a pond out there. So I was just curious what happens to that water. I do know that the retention pond that is there currently there right now, that seems to be holding well. But I have also seen where when we have a lot of rain, it's getting to the top. So I was just curious where that other water is going, where it just kind of seems stagnant between this new development and New Salem Highway. So those were kind of my three questions.
Got it. Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak? All right, seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. All right, we have three questions. I'm going to start from the last one. So the protected area and the stream that's on Highway 99, how is that protected and where does the water go?
So that is Spence Creek, and Spence Creek runs along New Salem Highway, kind of parallel to it, and you see it continues to meander down here, goes up here, and then over to the World Outreach Church property. So ultimately, I don't know where it ends up, but it is a map stream on our FEMA flood insurance rate maps. And so any development along it would have to honor our floodplain management regulations. As far as access, right now, the only access point for this property would be going back towards Cason Lane would be Asher's Fork Drive. There will be additional connectivity in the future as Mr. Lloyd continues constructing his subdivision to the south. This will actually connect to the Gardens of Three Rivers subdivision to the south, which will create additional ways to get back to Cason Lane. Whether or not there's ever direct access over Spence Creek to New Salem Highway, that might pose a problem getting access directly back to New Salem Highway, and whether or not that would be financially feasible to make that roadway connection to the north. As far as, I believe she asked about this area right here.
Yeah, what happens between the development on Asher's Fork there?
So that southern half of this remaining tract is zoned RS6. They would only be able to develop what the zoning would allow, which would be 6,000 square foot lots and single-family detached homes. And the townhomes would only be allowed to be constructed in the area zoned RSA2 if it were to be rezoned. So it would be southern half single-family detached, the northern half single-family attached. And Ms. Smith did want me to mention, this is, and this rezoning was included in the data that we provided at the November workshop, because this is in the constrained sewer basin. So wanted to make sure that that was, that information was not withheld from you.
Okay. And Ms. Hans, there's a lot of, with the development and widening of Highway 99, that's the first phase that was developed, and so there was a lot of discussion about Spence Creek during that entire development. That whole area has been protected, and I would suspect that probably goes to Stones River if I had to bet. Yeah.
Ms. Knoll was nodding.
West Stones Fork.
Yeah. So it's a protected area that not only is TDOT very protective of, but more so TDEC is very protective of that area.
It goes to the Stones River. Sorry. That was a joke.
Stones Battle Parkway? Anybody?
Too soon? Too soon?
All right. Thank you, Mr. Baumley. I think did that get everything? I think that got the 3 questions that we needed answered. Is there any more questions from the council?
Poor Darren. We're sorry. No questions from me, Mayor.
Do a motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
Motion is second. Please call the roll.
Ms. Saverwater?
Aye.
Ms. Scales Harris?
Aye.
Mr. Maxwell?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shacklet?
Aye.
Mr. Wade?
Aye.
Mr. Wright?
Aye.
Mayor McFarland?
Aye.
Thank you all.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Baumley. Thanks for your hard work.
Thank you.
And Mr. Baumley, I don't get to speak for everybody often. The planning staff did a really good job presenting 2 difficult projects tonight. So thank you all for your hard work on that.
War Eagle.
All right, we're going to move to item 10, homeowner rehabilitation and affordable housing assistance program policies and procedure update. Ms. Klein is going to present this.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is the policy changes for the Affordable Housing Assistance Program and Homeowner Rehabilitation Program. We brought the changes to you guys at the December workshop. One of the changes is to the lien terms of our assistance. The current policy, we have a required lien term of 1 year for tree removals, 5-year for homeowner rehabilitation, and a lifetime lien requirement for any affordable housing assistance or down payment assistance that we provide. We'll be changing that to a tiered approach, which that will be anything under $15,000 will require a 5-year lien. Anything $15,000 to $40,000 will require a 10-year lien, and anything over that $40,000 would require a 15-year lien. Under our Affordable Housing Assistance Program, we currently have 90 lifetime liens that are a maximum of $10,000 each. We are looking to release the liens that have hit the 20-year mark, which would be 11 of them, and then we would do so for any of our current liens under that policy over the next 19 years. As part of our rehab policy, currently any rehab contracts that are $25,000 and above are brought to council for approval. That does not match the purchasing department's requirements, so we are looking to align the 2 policies, so our contract policy will match that of the purchasing department. As for our affordable housing assistance, we currently offer a $10,000 assistance to first-time homebuyers and are looking to increase that to a maximum of $50,000, which will be dependent on the need per family. And those require council approval for each individual down payment. Council approves our budget for the year for what we can provide under the affordable housing assistance. So in an effort to kind of speed up our processing time to help home buyers get into a home, we are looking to ask for city manager approval for anything under the $50,000, and then we will continue to provide updates to the council through our dashboard and informational communications. Happy to answer any questions if there are any.
If no questions, I move for approval.
Second.
Motion is second. Please call the roll.
Thank you.
Ms. Overwater?
Aye.
Ms. Gels Harris?
Aye.
Mr. Maxwell?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shackler?
Aye.
Mr. Wade?
Aye.
Mr. Wright?
Aye.
Mayor McFarland?
Aye. Now we'll move to item 11, Patterson Park security camera improvements. Mr. Jarrett.
Hello, Mayor Council. IT is requesting approval to proceed with a security camera upgrade at Patterson Park. This purchase includes camera equipment, licensing, and installation services. These improvements will increase visibility, enhance public safety, and expand security coverage throughout the facility. The project will cost approximately $172,000 and is fully funded through CIP.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second. Please call the roll.
Ms. Overwater?
Aye.
Ms. Gels Harris?
Aye.
Mr. Maxwell?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shackler?
Aye.
Mr. Wade?
Aye.
Mr. Wright?
Aye.
Mayor McFarland?
Aye. All right, let's move to the contract with Forever Lawn from the Miracle Field Playground surface renovation.
Yes, thank you, Mayor, for your consideration tonight. As a contract with Forever Lawn to replace 5,234 square feet of turf under one of the play features that's very heavily utilized. This area needs to be replaced to, again, high usage that has led to a failure in our safety surface. The total cost is $79,161 via a Sourcewell contract, and funds are allocated in our CIP. And I would be glad to answer any questions you might have.
No questions, so moved.
Second.
Seconded by Bill.
Motion is second. Please call the roll.
Ms. Overwater?
Aye.
Ms. Gels Harris?
Aye.
Mr. Maxwell?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shackler?
Aye.
Mr. Wade?
Aye.
Mr. Wright?
Aye.
Mayor McFarland?
Aye. All right, let's move to, thank you, Nate. Let's move to the contract with Murfreesboro Medical Clinic. Chief McCluskey.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Our department's requesting to enter into a new contract with MMC to provide firefighters with their physical and cancer screening required under the Barry Brady Act. The city has had a contract with them since 2020, and the last contract expired in June of 25. The department would like to continue this contract with these services with MMC. The cost of this, if all personnel, certified personnel, the maximum financial impact would be $114,000. Last year, we only spent $86,000, where some of the employees choose to participate with this testing with their own doctor's office. Staff recommends approval for this contract.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Please call the roll.
Ms. Overwater?
Aye.
Ms. Gels Harris?
Aye.
Mr. Maxwell?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shackler?
Aye.
Mr. Wade?
Aye.
Mr. Wright?
Aye.
Mayor McFarland?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. All right, we'll move to purchase of police vehicles from Allen J. Automotive. Chief Bowen.
Almost.
Oh.
I know we favor a lot.
I was looking. I apologize.
That's all
I was
right.
looking at
Deputy
my
Chief
paper.
Gerald.
Same thought.
Tonight for consideration is the approval of purchasing 3 unmarked police vehicles from Allen J. Automotive. These vehicles are scheduled replacement vehicles through the state's General Services Central Procurement Office. The cost of this purchase is $135,963 and will be paid from the drug fund. And I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Move for, hey, that was my line.
Second.
Second. Hey.
Motion is second. Motion is second. I have a feeling I'm going to be getting a ticket on the way home tonight. So.
Ms. Overwater?
Aye.
Ms. Gels Harris?
Aye.
Mr. Maxwell?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shackler?
Aye.
Mr. Wade?
Aye.
Mr. Wright?
Aye.
Mayor McFarland?
Aye. Now we have the purchase of police vehicles from Lonnie Cobb Ford.
We're asking to purchase 28 new Ford police vehicles that are scheduled replacements and to equip new positions within the FY26 budget personnel. These vehicles are not fully equipped, so we'll have to come back with council later for contracts for those purchases. The total cost of this purchase is $1,308,909. $240,587 will come from the drug fund, and the remaining $1,068,322 is funded by the department's FY26 operating budget. And I'll be happy to answer any questions you have.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Please call the roll.
Ms. Overwater?
Aye.
Ms. Gels Harris?
Aye.
Mr. Maxwell?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shackler?
Aye.
Mr. Wade?
Aye.
Mr. Wright?
Aye.
Mayor McFarland?
Aye. Thank you, Chief Gerald. You got
got
one?
one
We have
more.
one more?
Oh, man.
Where did?
Very bottom of the page.
It's on the
Should be
back.
Delta, Precision
Precision,
Delta.
it's 16.
I don't have a 16.
Decision to
It's
lack
on the development
cooperation.
front page.
Just so you say.
Uh-oh.
Okay, so 13, 14, 15, and then, I don't have 16 on my sheet here.
I can tell you all about it. We're asking to purchase, for you to approve a contract with Precision Delta for the purchase of ammunition. Pricing for this contract is available through the state's General Services Central Procurement Office. Cost of this purchase is $79,912, and it will be funded by the department's FY26 operating budget. Be happy to answer any questions.
You're a great body double. I second that.
I thought I was losing my mind here, but I don't have a 16. So we have a motion, do we have a second?
We do.
Motion and second, please call the roll.
Ms. Saberwater.
Aye.
Ms. Gels Harris.
Aye.
Mr. Mayor.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shacklet.
Aye.
Mr. Wade.
Aye.
Mr. Wright.
Aye.
Mayor McFarland.
Aye.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Now we'll move to 17, revised donated leave policy number 1044. Mr. Wilkerson.
Thank you, Councilman Mayor. You have before you a revised policy. I'm here just for information purposes only. Give you a chance to review the policy, and maybe later we'll come back and request your approval for move forward. It is the donated leave policy. It was established in 2021. Just a quick reminder of what the policy does. It allows employees to donate accrued unused time to employees, full-time employees who may have a zero balance. And this is for time taken off for serious illnesses, FMLA, and things of that nature. There are 5 basic changes that we did to this policy. 1, we want to make sure that we included some other leave time that was not there before, which were PTO, stars, and floating holidays. 2, we broadened the coverage for family, meaning particularly we put in a term called loca parentis. That means someone who's acting as an authority of a parent. We also made it possible so you could take the leave, use the leave outside of FMLA, meaning that if you had a serious illness and you were not eligible for FMLA, but the doctor still approved your time to be off, we put that in there as well. We also added clear communication on some things that were silent from a payroll standpoint and usage. And then last, we put some safeguards in place to make sure that there was no misuse, misunderstanding of the policy itself. With that said, I can answer questions now if you have them, or later when we come back for a request to approve.
I have a question. When I was going over this, for instance, if I was out on maternity leave
Yes.
and my time is up, you know, well, women get time off for maternity leave.
Yes.
Okay. If my time is up, can I ask one of my friends or something, can I use some of your days? Will that apply for maternity also?
It's a 2-part question there. One, it does apply to maternity. The only time it can go past 12 weeks if the city manager approves it. And we got to make sure the doctor certification is there as well. So it does provide time for maternity leave, and if it goes over 12 weeks, the city manager would have to approve.
Well,
And for the record, Madeline, I would give you some of my PTO.
It's 72, you, don't worry about it. Okay, yeah, I was,
Yeah, just a little clarification on maternity leave. The state of Tennessee allows 16 weeks of maternity leave.
wow, I may take you up on that.
Madeline,
Brandon,
you don't get it for grandbabies.
only comment I would have, I know we're discussing, is just make sure the safeguards are in there that somebody can't be given leave to somebody above them in their chain of command to curry favor, if you know what I mean.
That's a great point. Yeah, so we addressed that as well. We put some provision in place that if you're about to leave the organization, you cannot donate your time to someone on the way out. We've had that try to occur, but we didn't allow it. And we wanted to put it in the policy so it was clear.
And also, you're not to solicit donated leave. This is something that people can bank for you on your behalf, but it's not, we're not to solicit it, correct?
Right. What he's saying basically is that if I needed time, I can go to Mayor McFarland and say, hey, would you donate some time to me? We took that solicitation item off the table. Now, department head, they could do that on behalf of an employee with a written approval, but an employee could not go to another employee and ask.
And the identity is not disclosed of the person donating.
Right.
Okay.
Those are some good changes.
Yes, we thought so. Any more questions, comments at this moment?
Do you need a motion?
I would love a motion, but.
Well, I thought this was enough to present it and let you all review it for 2 weeks, and we come back as an action item on the 22nd.
Great.
Okay, all right, thank you.
All right, any questions for Ms. Tucker's dashboard?
I've got about 15, but I'll just hold off.
All right, we have no board and commission appointments. And you have several beer permits.
Yes, we have 2 tonight. One is for a new restaurant located at 810 Northwest Broad Street, Suite 216. And the other is for an ownership change for a restaurant located at 836 North Thompson Lane, Suite 1B. Both have met our requirements, and we recommend approval pending any final building and codes inspections.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second, please call the roll.
Ms. Saverwater?
Aye.
Ms. Gels Harris?
Aye.
Mr. Maxwell?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shacklet?
Aye.
Mr. Wade?
Aye.
Mr. Wright?
Aye.
Mayor McFarland?
Aye. You have some statements to be paid for legal services for $61,773.79.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second, please call the roll.
Ms. Saverwater?
Aye.
Ms. Gels Harris?
Aye.
Mr. Maxwell?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shacklet?
Aye.
Mr. Wade?
Aye.
Mr. Wright?
Aye.
Mayor McFarland?
Aye. All right, we'll move to other business, the selection process for city attorney and an MOU regarding management of city attorney. Mr. Gore.
Mayor, City Council, thank you for the opportunity to present this tonight. I got this to you roughly a little over 24 hours ago, but I wanted to kind of run through this briefly, if you would allow me to do that. Real quick, this is kind of the selection process that we've outlined. I'm not going to go into the animation mode, which I did, have set up. I'm just going to leave it like you can see it all at one time. So if we start, again, this is something that if we can advertise, I'm sorry.
Full disclosure, Mr. Tucker, about a week and a half. 2
Yeah,
weeks
sorry.
ago,
Yeah.
You don't want it to be awkward.
Adam is like, am I getting fired?
Yes.
know about that?
Yeah. I'm sorry. I should have led with the fact that, yes, our.
Mr. Tucker has served us ably for many, many years and been with the city for many years and has had some great opportunities come up and family changes come up. And so he's going to be able to move back home closer to his family. He's got a great opportunity. So he let us know that he's going to be leaving in mid-February, which immediately triggers what we're talking about. So.
Right. Great lead in there, Mayor. Sorry I didn't lead with that. So with our esteemed colleague, Mr. Tucker, leaving us, I've spent the past week or so and really the past couple of days trying to put together some type of new city attorney selection process so that you all can kind of visibly or visually see kind of the outlined steps that we would like to take. This is obviously at your discretion. This is going to be someone that you hire. This is a charter position. They will be in a contract with an employment contract with the city council. But I wanted to give you these steps and just make sure that you were on board and bought into how we want to go about this. So tonight, being January 8th, we're talking about finalizing the city attorney job description and a memorandum of understanding with the city council and the city manager over the next 2 weeks. If you're comfortable with this process tonight, we can vote on it tonight. If you'd rather wait a couple of weeks to digest it, we can bring it back in the 22nd. From January 23rd through February 6th, we would post that job online through our Human Resource Department. We would be contacting the Tennessee Municipal Attorneys Association, possibly NTAS, and some other Tennessee-based organizations that have job posting portals. February 7th through 20th, that would be when the applications have been submitted, and we would do a pre-screening. That could get as involved as we need to get it involved with using our HR department, myself. We want to make sure that we do capture all of the qualified candidates. It is a requirement of 10 years of municipal attorney experience and also having their licensure in the state of Tennessee. The unique thing about this, on February 12th, I've got that little blue box there that would require appointment of an interim city attorney, as Adam's last day would be February 17th. So at our workshop on February 12th, we would need to appoint an interim city attorney. February 21st through March 13th, similar to maybe what Sam Huddleston and myself went through, we would go through an executive team assessment, have a couple of executive team groups that would go through and evaluate using a rubric that was developed by Human Resources on, leadership fit, legal reasoning, situational judgment scenarios. We would provide you all with all of those scores, and you could determine whether or not you wanted to interview all of them or maybe just the top 2 or the top 3, and that would be through March 14th through the 27th. You all would conduct those interviews with the expectation that we would have an offer and a selected candidate by the end of March. They would probably need anywhere from, I think we said 30 to 60 days to transition potentially away from their current employer. And it looks like we may have, we would anticipate a new city attorney being here sometime in May. One of the unique things that we went through this go around is we're looking at having a memorandum of understanding between the city council, the city manager, and the new city attorney. This can take on multiple forms, but we have put it in the form of an MOU right now. Again, I can read through these bullets, but basically the purpose is to establish a clear collaborative process for the city manager to provide input and participate in the evaluation of legal staff performance and on operational service delivery in city departments. It is not to take away from the day-to-day operational direct reporting that the city attorney will have with those staff attorneys. It really is to identify priorities and work together in a more structured way so that, again, the organizational goals and priorities are aligned with kind of the workload and how the staff attorneys are allocated towards different tasks. Again, it would not diminish, it would not take away from the employment agreement with the city manager or the employment agreement with the city attorney, and it would not violate any of the charter conditions between the city manager and the city attorney. Again, this last slide is a little bit of just showing how it would maybe look at from a structural standpoint. The city attorney, I will look, maybe I'll do this on PowerPoint, make it a little bit center. This is kind of our current organizational setup where the city attorney and the city manager, the city staff attorneys reporting to the city attorney. We are defining some supervisory core responsibilities in the MOU. And that's an attachment A within the MOU. And then we're also assigning some matter management core responsibilities. And all that, again, shows how that matter management flows to city departments under which the city manager has direct purview of those departments. And just kind of bubbling this over in a kind of a dashed how the city manager through the MOU may operate with the city attorney and the city legal department in a little more defining clearer expectations on how we would operate together. So that's really it. I think if you all want to digest this a little more and we come back with a the memorandum of understanding for you to approve on the 22nd, and the process, if you're approving the process, you can do that on the 22nd. If you'd rather do that tonight, it would save us 2 weeks, which in the overall scheme of things isn't going to really hurt us or help us. I just want you all to be comfortable with the approach and make sure that you are okay with how we want to proceed.
I'm comfortable with it. I'd like to digest it a little more, personally.
Okay, very well. We'll bring something back on the, we'd like to get it back to you on the 22nd with everything firmed up so you all can approve it as an action item.
And, I think you take note on the MOU, there's nothing in this that replaces nor changes the charter, that obfuscates or takes away. It's more, after going through 4 of these processes, and I think Darren and Adam also having input, this gives like the last, when we interviewed Adam, or we hired Adam, and then before that, when we hired Craig, we didn't really have a process where the leadership team, they were involved. And that's the department between the legal department and the council. It's a really interesting dynamic because we hire the city attorney, but we really don't have any day-to-day responsibilities of supervising that department. That's really the city manager that does that. And so this makes it there's nothing wrong in the department. This just makes it a little more clear for someone who comes in to be able to say, here's how we operate as a city. So, but the other thing we did see is that it's going to be impossible to hire someone and have them in place by the time Adam leaves, as much as we all would like to have that process done quickly. Because for the public who are still watching this, the 2 of you, hi, Mom. So there's really 1 person watching. When you go through to hire these positions, it's really tough on the city council from a standpoint of making sure that we get that right person and going through a very open and transparent process, because that makes it extremely tough. Because the other part you have to take into account, there's going to be people who want to possibly apply for this job, who it's not like a normal position that you apply for a job and no one else knows about it except for the person you're applying. This position, when you apply for it, it is public record, and everyone, including your employer, knows that you're applying for this position. So this gives us the ability to keep everything transparent, open, and also have our team have input to the council.
One thing I would offer Shane and Darren is that purple box incorporates legal team questions, that whatever those questions are, I would ask that those be developed outside, if that makes sense, just because there's a potential, obviously, of internal people applying. So however those are developed, I would always say you find outside counsel or other city attorneys or other legal departments in other cities to give you ideas around that. I think that's a very safe, fair way. That way, if somebody internally or externally applies, it's not like we developed the questions internally and selected somebody internally. That's my point.
Right. We want to keep it as objective as possible.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
And was everyone okay with the process that we went through with Darren and with, so that will be, I would suspect we'll do this at the airport, that will be a good opportunity to follow that same process. Okay. All right. Any other business from staff? Any other business from the council? Seeing none, we'll stand adjourned.